All right, so we all know that we're spending a lot less of our money on things that we really don't need. I think it's probably been at least 6 months, maybe longer than that, since I bought a video game. I only go out to eat if I absolutely have to. Like if I'm at work and I didn't bring anything to eat for lunch, I will go out and get something. But overall, the things that we used to buy we're not buying anymore. Nearly everyone I know has cut back on their subscription services, including myself. I think I left myself with just one subscription service, and every Friday night I will pay for something on Amazon Prime to watch because it's Friday. I'm bored and I can sit here endlessly scrolling through YouTube, but I just want to sit down and watch something after a long week. But that's about it. The spending that I was doing before, it just had to go. It just wasn't worth it. And with the cost of everything going up, we're buying a lot less. The last 2 to 3 years have been the first time in my entire life where I can open my refrigerator and there's nothing to eat in there. And you're wondering, what do I eat? Mainly ramen, and that's about it. Uh, I just can't bring myself to pay $10 for a pound of deli ham. It's just not worth it. Food doesn't taste good. The quality and quantity is low, and they're making everything cheaper from cars to houses. Everything is cheaper, and then they wonder why people aren't spending the money that they have. Well, if you're spending 80 to 90% of all of your monthly income on just the necessities, there really isn't a whole lot left over to spend. And that means that whatever you have left at the end of the month, which isn't much, I mean, at the end of the average month, I'll probably have $50 to $200 left over. And that's on a good month. Most of the time, I'll end up negative because I'll have to put something else on a credit card. That's just the way it is. But I feel like we've become a society where we're normalizing being extremely broke. Like it's gotten to the point where being so poor that you can't afford to do things that your parents could do quite easily. Like, for instance, go out and buy a new car. The cost of a new car is absolutely ridiculous, and you're not going to buy a car unless you absolutely have to because when you just look at the cost of it's going to what it's going to cost you on a daily basis, right? Gas is going up, everything is going up except for your pay. In fact, I was talking to one of my coworkers yesterday who I've known for quite a few years, and he stopped and he said, Millennials team, I got that 25-cent raise a couple of months ago, but it's not helping me out. And so he's had to find alternative ways of making additional income because the guy's got a house, he's got a bunch of kids and a wife, and we both make the same amount. And I straight up asked him, it's like, how are you making it? It's like my wife's having to work a lot more hours and he's having to do gig work when they're trading off the gig work. So when he's home, she's driving for Uber Eats or Amazon Flex, and then when on weekends she takes care of the kids, and he has to go out and do gig work, and they're still struggling. All right, let's get into our monologue for today. Nobody saw it coming, but the signs were always there. People are tired, broke, and quietly pulling back on spending. Retail sales barely budged last month, and the places we usually splurge, restaurants, department stores, even gas stations, are taking the biggest hit. It's not just about saving money anymore, it's about survival in an economy that keeps asking for more while giving less. And now, the so called mighty US consumer is starting to crumble under the pressure. I believe we've been crumbling for a long time. I've never met so many people who had what I would consider to be good jobs that are living in apartments or worse, living with their parents. Nearly half the people I work with, and you're talking about people in their 40s, have had to move back home while having tech jobs. And yesterday I was talking to the senior manager, and it is very obvious that these people aren't doing well. Like mentally, no, they are just not capable. Even the senior manager himself yesterday was telling me that he can't take it anymore. And this return to work policy that they're instituting across the board on everyone is making a lot of people very nervous because no one wants to go back to work and have to spend the money and time on commuting because they don't pay you to commute, especially if you don't live anywhere near your job. And I've seen people get really angry about the return to office because either they moved out of state or they don't live anywhere near the office. There's a couple of people that I know that have to drive an hour and a half in order to be able to get to the office. In fact, the person I was talking to yesterday, my boss told him that he needed to be here at the corporate office next week, and he couldn't because it would take him so long to drive here, and he would do something for 5 minutes and then have to drive back home, and he was not happy about that. Anyhow, let's get back on topic and with talking point number one. While headlines hype up resilient consumers, the actual numbers are showing fatigue. A mere 0.2% growth in retail sales after a big drop in January. Isn't strength, it's survival mode. Americans are scaling back not because they want to, but because they have to. If your wages have not gone up, like mine have not gone up over the past 3 years significantly, you are going to be on the struggle bus. You, like myself, are working right now. This is work. I get paid to do this. And it's not like we want to do this. I don't like having to spend every single weekend working, but that's just the way it is. My Saturday and Sunday are spent making videos so that I have videos during the week and I don't have to make additional videos. Although I found myself needing to make a second morning video every day. That's why I'm making this video right now. This is going to go up right before I leave for work. Hopefully more complete than incomplete. But again, people are scaling back and they're having to work more. I say this in a lot of my videos, but 40 hours at the current level of pay is a part-time job these days. And if you're living alone and you don't have anyone to share expenses, you may find yourself working 7 days a week like I do. And it's not fun because, as I was telling the senior manager yesterday, it's impossible for us to go on vacation. It's impossible for us to take a single day off. I have to move in less than 10 days out of the roach-infested hellhole I'm in right now. I've had to take time off work in order to do that, but can I really take time off from work? The answer to that is absolutely not. It is impossible for me to take a day off from work because my job is that important that I don't have anyone else who can step in and do my job. And if you're wondering, it's like, well, what about Gen Zero? Oh my God. He is not fit to run a hot dog stand, let alone anything more than that. Like yesterday, some of the questions he asked me, I mean, I just wanted to just roll up a newspaper and hit him over the head because he just is incapable of any amount of responsibility or gets frustrated over any little thing that he doesn't want to do. And so anytime that something comes up that he doesn't understand, he just either shuts down or just tells them that he doesn't know how to do it, and he goes and he just sits down somewhere else. And you can't do that. If you can't adapt in the workforce, then you're not going to have a job because corporations aren't interested in training disposable workers. Either you can do the job or you can't. You can't do both. No one's going to come and train you on how to do even an entry level job. And that's why I keep saying the only thing entry level about our current jobs is the pay. Everything else, they want you to have experience well beyond what the pay grade is for that job. Talking point number two. Department stores, restaurants, gas stations, all down. People are cutting out the non-essential first. This isn't just about spending less, it's about a warning sign. When the middle class starts skipping dinners dinners out, and driving less, a recession might already be brewing. I have been saying this for so many years that we've been in a recession, and everyone likes to listen to the mainstream media and think, you know what? If CNN keeps telling me that everything's great, that the stats are looking wonderful, that we have a 4% unemployment rate, then Millennial Steam must be crazy because he keeps preaching about a depression and a recession. It's already here if you're poor. There are a million homeless people out there right now. You think they're feeling the booming economy? You think people at the bottom who are forced into crappy jobs where they're underemployed and don't make enough money to live off? That to me is the hardest part about employment, is being so underemployed that you're working with people that are basically brain dead. You look into a retail worker's eyes and there's nothing there. Walk into any Walmart and look at the employees. They're not so much workers as they are inmates of the corporations. The uniforms might as well be retail prison uniforms because that's what they represent. You are not going to walk up to a retail worker and find a friendly person there. The management may tell them that it's part of their job to smile and to be nice to the customers, but the reality is that people aren't interested. I know I wasn't. And I remember when I was working in retail, they'd have these secret shoppers that would come into the store to gauge the overall friendliness and customer service of the store. We failed uh, that test every single time because no one was interested in being nice to someone. Everyone is really angry about what they're being paid and how crappy these jobs are. No one wants to take a job that requires you to have a second job. And unfortunately, until McDonald's starts paying their people, the people working the fryer later, $100,000 to $300,000 a year, which is enough for them to be able to afford a house and live a life. Guaranteed time off every single year, at least 6 weeks of vacation a year. I don't want to spend my whole life working like I have already. I've spent my entire adult life working for nothing. You can ask me this all the time. When was the last time you went on vacation? I just look at them and I say, what's a vacation? Because that's not even in my vocabulary anymore. Vacations, saving money. I have people tell me that all the time. It's like, oh, you need to save money. I have this friend who works uh, at my job, and her big thing is, oh, you've got to save money. You've got to save money. And I'm like, what money are you going to save? You're you're living beyond survival mode. You're skipping meals. You're not going out to eat. You're eating the worst kind of food, and you're miserable all of the time. But you're working full time. Most of us are working more than full time. And it's a system that's absolutely and completely, totally broken. And yet we're supposed to pretend that everything is okay. All right, next talking point. Online shopping rose 2.4%, but it's often for essentials or cheaper alternatives. Health store sales also ticked up, possibly a sign that people are investing in basic well being over luxuries. It's survival spending, not splurging. When was the last time you splurged on anything? Like when I bought my computer 3 years ago, I felt like I was really splurging because I bought an Alienware computer and I had extra money. 3 years later, inflation at 10 to 15% each year has devastated my paycheck. You think about how much less you can buy, how much more everything is has gone up in a grocery store. We're not talking about going to any sort of luxury business. You're talking about this grocery store across the street from your house that is competing directly with how much money you're spending on a car payment every month just to feed one person. You're like, okay, well, why is this ramen? Why is ramen gone up? That's a good question to ask yourself when you walk into the grocery store and you look at the ramen and it's like, wait a minute. Why is ramen cost 4 times as much as it did 3 years ago? That's how you know that things are very terrible. So imagine splurging on what? As a poor person, what can you possibly splurge the tiny paycheck that you made today? Today's payday Friday. What am I going to splurge my money on? $1.99 for a movie on Amazon Prime tonight in standard definition. I won't even pay $2.99 for a high definition movie. I'm going to sit there, I'm going to watch it for a couple of hours. I'm going to, I guess if you had to say what I splurge my money on is Pearl beer. That's it. That's an essential of every day in the life of the proletariat is you've got to have your Pearl beer and then watch free YouTube because that's it. That's what passes for entertainment in the world of poor people. The survival spending is just enough to keep you willing to wake up the next day so that you can go earn enough money to buy more Pearl beer so that you can, at least for a couple of hours a night, refrain from thinking about how horrible your job is and how much you dislike the people you work with. Final talking point. Between inflation, layoffs, and political chaos, including trade wars, shoppers are scared. Even with job numbers looking okay, people feel unstable, and that fear is finally showing up in the economy. When people stop spending, the whole machine slows down. That unstable, that one word always stands out regardless of what I write. The unstable job economy. Because my Gen Zero has been looking for a better job for over 6 months. He's gone to job interview after job interview, and every job tells him the same thing. You don't have the experience to make more money. And he just scratches his head and he thinks to himself, well, someone's going to give me more money. And I've tried to convince him that, you don't have any work experience. Working at McDonald's doesn't count as work experience. So for the vast majority of workers, especially entry level workers, no experience on the resume means no increase in pay. You're going to stay in low level jobs for the rest of your life. And I'm not saying this just to say it. I'm saying it as a member of that system where you spend your life going from job to job that sucks and you look at your resume and you're like, well, why do you have call center, warehouse, and retail work as your only work experience? How are you possibly going to qualify for anything that pays a living wage when there's no reason to pay you more money? And that's something that you have to stop and think about as you're getting fired again from your crappy minimum wage job. To me, when people fire people from minimum wage jobs for acting your wage, I don't understand what they expect. They want professional workers at minimum wage to come in and do the work and expect them to be happy while simultaneously making them fearful that they're going to lose their job. That's something that happens at my job every single day is that they want professional people to act your wage and then they're paying you minimum wage, and when you act like a minimum wage worker, well, they don't want that. So you're kind of trapped between, well, we want super professional people, we want people with all this experience, but we're going to pay you $16 an hour. Now, act your wage. And then people act their wage, and soon that constant turnover. It's a impossible cycle to beat because people don't like making small amounts of money, and people react to not being able to pay their bills with a lot of psychological problems at work. The mental health crisis isn't just a crisis at home. The mental health crisis follows us around everywhere we go in our relationships with other people, with our employer, with our family, with our friends, wherever you go. If you are not satisfied with the way that things are and your mental health is absolute garbage, people are going to notice. That vein on your forehead that looks like it's about to burst as you go to your third job in one day. Yeah, people know that other people are on edge. Even this government should know that people are on edge because they're broke and they're feeling unstable. Hell, I feel unstable because I don't know if I'll ever be able to afford a home. Moving from one crummy, junky apartment to another or renting a room, that's not stability. And I think that's where I'm going to have to leave this video because I got to get ready to go to work. Another day in the salt mines of Evil Corp. They'll shackle me to my desk and I will sit there sadly for 8 hours. And then the work release program will end and I'll have to go home for the weekend and wait till 8 a.m. Monday morning to come back. Who knows? You never know. It's Friday afternoon. Fridays are always good days to fire the proletariat.